Mike Young. Thank you. I'm going to try not to look nervous, but I am scared to death. I'm a preacher, part-time. And I get in front of crowds and I'm not as scared there as I am here right now. Y'all pray for me, I'll ask for an offering at the end. I finished raising my kids in Lancaster County. My boys graduated in and around that area locally. I'm familiar with some of you here today. I can't say anything better than what's already been said. That speech you gave, I wanted to cheer, but I felt that might be out of order. It was a great job, what Ken said before me. What I have to add, I want to add from my heart. I made notes because I don't want to forget some of the important points. I know Catherine Crabill. I want you to know I know her. We met her when we moved to this area. She welcomed us in, took us in her home. I've come to know her as a passionate person, a loyal and dedicated friend, a great mother, a dedicated wife, a patriot, and a great American. And that's from personal experience. I'm a businessman. I own a corporation here in Virginia. It's headquartered here in Virginia. My wife and I just recently relocated to Florida. They told me when you get old, that's where you go. So that's where we went. I want to come back. I want to come back. I want to come back home because of people like the Crabills. Do you hear me? They are good people. But I'm also aware that just being a good person doesn't necessarily mean you'll make a good candidate or a good delegate. I can tell you, in this case, it does mean that. From my heart, from personal experience, she's the woman for the job. I agree with what Ken said. I want to say that she's the person that'll speak the plain language that each of us have in our heart, in our minds. But she has the courage to say it out loud. And trust me, I think she's nuts because she's taken tremendous heat for saying what a lot of us have already thought. I wouldn't do it. But if there's anyone that can stand up with the courage and take the heat, as she would face Albert Pollard this fall, and displace that man as our representative, she's the one to do it. I want to be reminded that it's local politics, it's grassroots that makes the difference in state level politics. It's local politics, it's people like you and me that are going to make the difference as our state officials speak then to our national officials. Congressman, thank you for being here today. Chairman, thank you for what you're trying to say. I'll thank anybody that receive the thanks. But it's important for me to be reminded and for us to remember it's a government for the people and by the people. It's not a state ruling over us. It's representatives running our government for us. We've got it backwards somehow in the last 25 years. And the people in power now are the elitists. Excuse me, Catherine, just a minute. I want to draw a distinction between what she represents to me and what we see happening now. I don't need to be told how to raise my children. I know how to do that. It's a God-given right. I want to be able to run my business, employ people, and help them reach their potential, and not be told by government that I'm not entitled to the income that I worked for so hard. But they'll give it to whomever they choose, and I'll stand by helplessly. That's wrong. Excuse me. I get a little passionate. You know, I'm going to stop there and say this, because you have to have your time. The thing that concerns me is how far we've moved away from what we started at. Our home base, our foundation, the fundamentals of what we believe in, conservatism, God and family. I look back and sometimes I wonder, do we really remember what it was like to have that confidence of home, America, our Constitution, our founding fathers, and what they fought for and what they died for and what our men and women are dying for now? Have we forgotten? I look back and I tell you, I want to go home. I want to go back to those principles and that foundation, I need to go home. And I'm telling you, I know Catherine Crabill. I know her as dedicated. I know her as uncompromising. I know her to be a fighter in the face of all odds. And I know her to be one of the people in my life that knows the way back home. Do you hear me? She knows the way back home. And I look at where we are today as a nation. And I want to speak to the 99th district. We're adrift. Now there's hope because there's men and women that are starting to step up from grassroots levels and speak the truth in the face of opposition. But we're adrift, folks. And I need somebody to speak plain language to my representatives on the state level and on the national level to say, I know the way back home and it's time to stop drifting at great personal cost. She won't compromise. I've seen her do it. She won't compromise in her family. She won't compromise in her marriage. She won't compromise in her morals or ethics. And some people call that hard-headed. So be it, Catherine, you're hard-headed. That's what I'm looking for. I look at our two-party system now, and I can hardly tell one party from the other in a lot of issues. Amen. And that troubles me. Amen. And when I look at Catherine, I see a difference. You talk about change, there's change. You may not like it because maybe you drifted too far to the middle. You can make the tent big, but make it big for the right reason. Thank you, Catherine. Now, I'm not mad, I'm just passionate. And the final thing is, I'm afraid of where we're going. I'm not sure if we keep going the direction we're going, we'll remember how to get back. I want to go home. I want my family, I want my kids, I want my grandchildren to understand where home is and what it's like. I know Catherine, because every time I talk to her, she talks about home and how important that is to her. And I know it's more than a building or a house. It's where we come from as a people. I want to know how to get back home. And I know Catherine and her family represent that. And you know the way back home. Thank you, Catherine. I know Catherine Crabill personally. I was afraid to get up here today. I'm so glad I had the chance. Thank you. Now, I'm going to close with this. I know there's some people that have said that Catherine Crabill has a suspicion of government. I've seen the picture of the tin hat. I saw it. I've read the stories. I've even added a couple of rebuttals myself. You know, it's funny, and I was reading quotes by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison and Samuel Adams and the great Ronald Reagan. And you know what? Go read them. They were suspicious also. I wonder why. Is it because maybe they're going to take our rights to bear arms? Would that make you suspicious? Or maybe they'll sneak in the back door and steal your rights to raise your children the way you see fit. Thank you, Terry. Great presentation this morning. That makes me a little suspicious. I spent 8 years in a government job in military intelligence. Forgive the oxymoron. But we actually did see things that disturbed us deeply. And you're suspicious. My. Thank you. It's one of the few people I've met that's willing to stand up and say, sound the alarm. It's not the British this time. It's worse. It's socialism. It's a state wanting to control our lives. And the Communist Party will tell you today, if you'll take the time and go read it, that socialism is simply the necessary first step to total domination of your lives by a communist dictatorship. We're on the way. It's a slippery slope, and we're about to fall over the precipice. And I'm saying that Catherine Crabill, locally here in the 99th, can be the voice to our state representatives and ultimately to the grassroots movement to turn this thing around. Catherine, I am privileged to speak on your behalf. I hope I haven't used all your time. Thank you.